Hola, bienvenidos a mi canal. Si son nuevos aquí, mi nombre es Joanna. My name is Joanna. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. So I like to do my makeup and just talk about crazy stories that I watched, documentaries, whatever, on YouTube, or just like on Investigation Discovery, and they really stuck out to me, and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about this to someone. So if you like crime and all that stuff and makeup, make sure you continue watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Ignore my hand. I was swatching some eyeliners to see if they still work. Y sí, casi la mayoría todavía sirven, okay? So ignoren la mano. Just an FYI, today's story is a little yucky. So sí, es muy dramática la historia de hoy. There's a lot of kidnapping, torture, rape, you know, all those crazy things that these serial killers usually do. So just be warned, this is your warning. Okay, so this story takes place in Pennsylvania. Well, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, you know. And it is not new. It's actually an older story. It's from like the 1990s, like around that time. And this story is about Gary Michael Heidnik. I don't know how to say his last name, but that is the name of our serial killer today. Alrighty, so Gary Heidnik, I can't say his last name, was born November 22nd, 1943, and he was born in the suburbs, which is like, you know, fancy. And he was born to Michael was the dad. Why do guys name their kids after themselves? I don't know. That's so weird. Well, I guess it was his middle name. And Ellen, and they lived in Eastlake, Ohio, suburb of Cleveland. And his parents divorced like literally 3 years after he was born, because he was born in 1943 and they got divorced in 1946. And it was just him and his younger brother, Terry, I believe was his brother's name. And at first they stayed with their mother, but for whatever reason they ended up moving with their father. And their father was already married. He already had his life going on. And when they did arrest Gary later down the road, when we get there, you know, he did say that his dad was very abusive. He said that he would wet the bed. He had a problem wetting the bed, and that his dad would make him hang the sheets on the window so that all the neighbors can see that he wet the bed. But the dad denied it. When the dad was still alive, he denied that he ever abused him, so we don't know. So it says that he was pretty smart. His IQ test was 148, which I guess that's really good. And it does say that he wasn't very good at school as far as like being social. He would get made fun of because of his head. I guess they would say his head was a weird shape, but they did say something about him falling off a tree when he was younger. So I guess that's why his head was shaped weird. And then it also says that like one time this girl was like, hey Gary, did you do your homework or something like that? And he was like, you're not worthy of talking to me, like don't talk to me. So yeah, that was weird. He like yelled at her, you know, like I guess like that was unnecessary, but that's what he did. So I guess his dad convinced him, or maybe he just wanted to make his dad proud, to sign up for the military when he was only 14 years old, which I'm kind of shocked. Like, do they really accept you that early? And anyways, he didn't finish high school, obviously, because he did end up going into the military. And I guess he got transferred, is that the word, to San Antonio, Texas, where they said that he tried to apply for like a lot of the specialist position, one of them being the police, but I guess he got denied for whatever reason. Doesn't really say why. But he was a medic in the military, and I guess his sergeant described him as excellent. So he was like, you know, like I said earlier with the IQ, smart, guess a hard worker, you know, he was likable. He ended up getting his GED there in August of 1962. And this was when he was in Germany. So he wasn't in Texas for very long. After being in Texas, he ended up going to Germany, and that's where he got his GED. So he ended up getting discharged from the military. He did get honorable discharge, but I guess Gary had complained about having really bad headaches and just dizziness and just like blurry vision, nausea, like really weird. To me, those are just kind of random symptoms, you know. And I guess when they diagnosed him with a mental illness, gastroenteritis. I don't really know what that is, and a schizoid personality disorder. Oh my gosh, I'm assuming it's like schizophrenia. Oh, schizoid, duh. Schizoid disorder. So it says gastroenteritis. Oh, I know that shit in Spanish. It's known as infectious diarrhea, basically, is what he had, and like a stomach flu. And then the schizoid personality says it's a personality disorder characterized by a lack of interest in social relationship, as a tendency toward a solitary or sheltered lifestyle, secretive, emotional coldness, detachment, and apathy. So yeah, that's what he got diagnosed with, and after that he got discharged from the military. So after this, he ended up going to the University of Pennsylvania as a licensed practical nurse, but it says that he didn't even last a semester. He basically just like dropped out. And then he was working like with veterans and Veterans Administration, and he was supposed to be helping like patients. He was still doing stuff like within the medical field, but I guess he was like a jerk, and he was rude to the patients, and he was mean, and he just was not like a good worker. Like he wouldn't go to work, he was just always late, he wouldn't show up or whatever. So he obviously ended up getting fired. And I guess all this time up until his arrest, he was struggling with his mental illness, and it actually ran in his family from what I read. You know, his mom, his brother, obviously his dad had issues for him, making him put sheets and who knows what else he did to him, you know, when he was younger. They all seem to have some type of like mental issues, which is kind of sucks, you know. He was in and out of like mental hospitals, and it turns out that his brother was also in and out of mental hospitals, and his mom ended up getting diagnosed with bone cancer. So I don't know if it was because of this that she decided to commit suicide, which she did succeed. She did something like, she drank something called mercuric chloride, and she was also suffering side effects from alcoholism. So I'm assuming she was an alcoholic, obviously. But the mercuride chloride, historically also known as sulema or corrosive sublimate, is the inorganic chemical compound of mercury and chlorine. So that's what she drank, and that's how she committed suicide. And I guess within that time frame before he got arrested, he had tried to commit suicide 13 times. Like, you would think that if someone does try to commit suicide that many times, somebody would like help them, or I don't know. You know, guys, so this is where it starts to get crazy, okay? So just know, this is where all the craziness starts coming. He somehow married someone that he was talking to for months from the Philippines. She came over from the Philippines, obviously, to, you know, be with him and get married to him. I believe her name was Disto, Betty Disto. Yeah, Betty Disto. And they got married on October 3rd of, it was around 1985. So they got married, and it wasn't a very good marriage. It didn't last very long because he was a psycho, you know. He would force her to watch him have, you know, sexual intercourse with other women. She saw him like doing it with up to 3 women. He would force her to have sexual intercourse with him. So, you know, even though you're married, like, no means no, it's still rape. So he did take advantage of her as well. And, you know, she just was not happy. Like, she was miserable. It was not what she thought it was going to be. And they say that she did end up getting away and she was able to flee, like, basically go back to the Philippines and leave him. You know, they helped her out, like the church community, because he was all into like this church that he had started or that he had joined, and it was called Church of the Ministers of God, and this was in 1971. And there was only like 5 followers, and he ended up opening an account under the church's name. And, you know, she thought he was like this good person, but he was not. So she ends up leaving him. Good for her. Shortly after, like, because this was 1985 when they got married. So in 1986, they say that he got his first mail. They were like, here's your mail. And then he was like, what is this? It was child support. Child support. So Miss Betty ended up getting pregnant by him, and she had a child with him. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's a girl because the name is Jesse. Oh no, she gave birth to a son. She named him Jesse John Disto. So he was unaware that he even had impregnated her or got Betty pregnant until he received the child support. But that's not it. Like, he had 2 other kids aside from this one, okay? Okay, and then this other child that he had was a son with a woman named Gail Linco. And then the last daughter that he had was Maxine Davidson, and she was born March 6, 1978. So this was before he even had the other kids with his wife from the Philippines. So the last daughter that I mentioned right now, which is Maxine, she was taken away from him and from her mom because she was put into foster care because her mom was mentally disabled. She was pretty much just someone that was illiterate. And when he ends up getting arrested is because he actually kidnapped her sister. So he ended up kidnapping, her name is Anjanette's sister, who was actually also mentally disabled. And she was actually in an institution. So he like took her out of this institution and kidnapped her, basically. Okay, so his first legal charge was actually back in 1976, and he was charged with aggravated assault, and that was because he was carrying a pistol, and he ended up going into someone's home and basically tried to rob them. And he ended up like shooting him and actually grazed the man with the bullet, you know, but luckily like nothing happened to this man. And then in 1978 was his first actual imprisonment. So in 1978, Heidnik had signed out Alberta, which was the sister of the girlfriend, and Jeanette, which is the one that I told you that he had the baby Maxine with, that they put in a foster home. So she was in a Penn Township institution on the day leave. And so basically he went and he was like, oh, I'm gonna pick her up, we're gonna spend the day together, whatever, go to the park, go eat, go, you know, whatever people do that, you know, visit their family members, like take them out, just have like a regular day, right? But he just never took her back. He never took her back. He ended up locking her up in his freaking storage room in his basement, literally, like, you know. And then the hospital's like, where is she? She hasn't came back, you know, like they were like, that's sus. So obviously when they noticed that she was missing and they hadn't brought her back, they looked up to see like who was the last person she was with. And they saw that it was him that had checked her out. So they went to the house and did like a inspection, if you will. And obviously they found her there. Poor thing. Because again, she was also mentally disabled and she was young, you know. So Alberta was there. And when they found her and they did like an examination on her, they saw, or basically they were able to see that she had been raped, she had been sodomized, and that she had contacted gonorrhea. So that's disgusting. Like, the hell, you know? Like, what the hell, Gary? And I guess he would make her sister watch as he did stuff to her sister. So this was in 1978. This was before he even got married to Betty. But, you know, they did charge him. Like, you would think he would have got, like, life. You know, that's what I thought when I was seeing this. And because he got charged with false imprisonment, he got charged with rape, with sodomization, with kidnap, with unlawful restraint, with involuntary deviant sexual intercourse, and interfering with the custody of a committed person. So somebody that's, you know, in a home. So he got charged with like a gang of stuff. So the fact that, like, obviously they did a psych evaluation on him or whatever, and they were like, oh, he's not all there. He's basically not all there, you know. And they ended up only giving him 3 years of incarceration, and those 3 years he spent in a mental institution, and he was released April 1983. So when he met, you know, Betty from the Philippines, it had only been 2 years that he was out, you know. So that's kind of disgusting. And then actually, obviously, after his wife Betty left him in 1986 because he was also abusing her and forcing her to watch him have sexual intercourse with other people and raping her, he was arrested on assault, indecent assault, spousal rape, and involuntary deviant sexual intercourse. So, like, I'm just like, sir, how are you, like, how is he still just out, like, and about, you know? Like, hello, how many times do you guys need to arrest him before you guys are like, you know what, like, you need to just stay here forever? Finish my other eye off camera just because I'm going really slow because I have to put all this glitter on. So let me just do the other eye and I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm back. Glitter is on. So we know his wife left him in January 1986. So in November 25th of 1986. What, baby?
Did you call me Enzo?
No, I didn't. Sorry, my son thought I called him. So yes, anyways, in November 25th, 1986, he had abducted a woman named Josefina Rivera, and by January 1987, he had abducted 4 more women, or kidnapped 4 other women, and he held them captive in a pit in his basement of his house. And this house was in North Philadelphia. They actually have the address, so if you guys want to see like the address and look it up, but I don't know. The captives, who were all women of color. What is that? OMG. He had all these women, 4 women in his basement. They were all women of color. And it said it says that he basically raped all of them. He tortured all of them. He made them watch as he tortured the other one or raped the other one. So yeah, these poor women were all in the basement. So one of the 4 women, I don't know what she did, but she must have done something to piss him off or to upset him, because he pretty much starved her and abused her and tortured her. She ended up passing away, and when they did the autopsy, it did say that she died of a combination of starvation, torture, and an untreated fever. He basically dismembered her body, and he had problems obviously with the arms and the legs. I feel like the serial killers never think about this, and they're always like, oh shit, why am I gonna put all this, you know? They don't know what they're gonna do with like the whole body parts, so they just start chopping away. But he put them in a freezer and labeled them dog food. Like, why'd you put it in your freezer, and why did you label it dog food? I don't know if he did feed it to his dogs. I don't even know if he had dogs, but disgusting. And then it says that he did cook her ribs in the oven, okay, and he boiled her head in a pot on the stove. Like, that's disgusting. And get this, you guys, so the neighbors were like, hey, you guys gotta come down here because our neighbor's house stinks. That smells like booty over there, you know, like what is going on? Police comes out and they're like, hey, your neighbors called, like they said it stinks up in here. And he's like, I was just making some food, I had a roast in the oven, and I just like fell asleep and it got burnt. And the police said, okay, bye. Literally, like they just bounced. They were like, yeah, that happens. The roast gets burned and it smells like dead bodies. You're right. And get this fool wanted to like obviously plead insanity because he didn't want to go to prison. He wanted to go to like an insane asylum or something. So he said, or there was rumors that he would grind up the meat of his victims and that he had mixed it with dog food, and that he would pretty much just feed it to the other victims that he had there, the other captives that he had. But they said that upon examination they didn't find like any meat in his like kitchen, or you know, I don't know how do you prove somebody ate human meat or not, but like I guess they said that that wasn't true, that he was just saying that so that he can get like, you know, insanity, like he's crazy basically. And he was just like crazy, okay? Like one of the victims, Deborah, she passed away and he just like threw her body in the pines. So I guess he didn't keep her body, but he threw her body in the pines after she died of electrocution, because I guess he would like make them like do a hole like in a pit, and he would put water in there, or have them put water in there, and then he would have them like basically electrocute each other. And well, obviously, you know, one of them ended up dying because of this, which, like, why? What was the reason? What was the reason? So his last victim that he captured was actually the youngest victim. She was only 18 years old. And it said that, well, she said, because she was only 18 years old at the time, he abducted her in January 18, 1987, and this was Jacqueline Askins. So she was the youngest of 6 victims that he's already had by now. And they actually have like a show where it was from 2018, and it's called Gary Heidnik's House of Horrors. And on there she says that she remembers that when she was there at the house, that Gary wrapped duct tape around their mouth, and then he proceeded to stab them in the ears with the screwdriver. So supposedly, well, not supposedly, okay, he did this because they were able to hear his movements, like coming up and down the stairs to the basement, or like leaving the house and all of that. And he didn't want them to know where he was at when he was in the house or not in the house. So I guess that's why he decided to stab them in the ears with screwdrivers. Like, So then him and Rivera, one of the victims that he had there, ended up kidnapping another girl, and her name was Agnes Adams. I don't know how the hell she convinced Gary, not the girl, the one that he already had, not the new girl. Rivera had convinced him like, hey, you know what, like we should let her go, like to go like see her family, you know, like for a while, and then we'll like bring her back. And he was like, okay, like that sounds like a great idea. I don't know, he's dumb, I guess. And he ended up taking her to a gas station, and he told her that he would wait for her right there. And she, obviously, Mrs. Agnes, she's a smart cookie, she walked to her boyfriend's house, and obviously her boyfriend was fucking livid, like who would not be. And he wanted to basically probably beat, kill, whatever, Gary. But he kept his cool, and he was like, you know what, let's go to the police. Which, you know what, I give this boyfriend props, because how the hell did he not go over there and kill him? Like, you know. So I guess the police goes to the gas station. They did see that she had like some cuts or like chafing from the chains that were on her arms or on her legs. And obviously they arrested him. But I guess they also arrested one of his friends, which I'm like, what? Like, this friend, okay, his last name is Brown. He admitted that he had been there when he killed Lindsay, and when he dismembered her body. Like, this one was like, you know, if you let me go, I'll tell you. And this guy got out on bail, so I don't know if he had money or he came for money, but he apparently witnessed. So I don't know if maybe he was doing this along with him. I feel like, obviously, right? Like, if he saw all of that, like, what the hell? Like, and you didn't say anything? You didn't go to anyone? Like, I'm so confused. And this guy, like, literally got out on bail. Like, his bail was $50,000, and like, he got out on bail. Like, finally, he got arrested April 1987. Okay, sorry, I'm looking for a sponge. 1987 is when this freaking psycho that raped and sodomized and tortured these mentally disabled women, most of them women of color, or all of them women of color, if I should say, killed them. Like, disgusting. Like, he could have just stayed locked up when he shot that person. Like, so many things happened, so many incidents happened where he could have just stayed in prison, and they just were like, oh, here's 3 years, here's a slap on the wrist. Like, what is wrong with the system? This shit is funny, okay? Like, this Gary, I thought you were smart, Gary. I don't know, I guess not. He tried to say that all these women were in the house when he moved in. Gary. O sea, wait, no mames. Then, of course, like always, he's trying to prove that he's legally insane. But then they checked his fucking investing, and they saw that this fool had made $550,000, and they were like, excuse me, no, sir, you're fully capable, aware of what is happening around you. So that's not gonna work this time. Finally, like, you're not insane. I mean, you are insane, but like, you know what you're doing. And I'm gonna just do my lips off camera, because last time I tried to do my lips, and it's actually really hard to talk while you're putting lipstick on. Hopefully my husband and my son are not too loud right now. But anyways, so finally Gary is getting, well, Gary on July 1988, okay, 1988. Do you guys hear that? Guess what my husband is doing right now. Okay, got my dash. In July 1st, 1988, Heidnik, well, Gary was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder, 6 counts of kidnapping, 5 counts of rape, 4 counts of aggravated assault. And he was also charged with 2 counts of involuntary deviant sexual intercourse. And he was sentenced to death and incarcerated at the State Correctional Institution of Pittsburgh. Yay! Woo! And they say that in 1989, gosh, this married life. In 1989, he attempted suicide. and he tried to overdose with the prescribed Thorazine, I guess. I don't know. It didn't work out, obviously. And you know what's crazy to me? That in 1997, his wife or ex-wife, Betty, and their daughter, Maxine, tried to appeal, or they filed a suit to say that he wasn't like competent enough to be executed, so basically saying that he shouldn't get the death penalty, which I'm like, whoa, that's kind of insane. Like, why would they not want him to get executed? And this went on for like 2 years, and then obviously it didn't pass, like, and you know, he was still like, he's gonna get executed, you know. And that was just so weird to me. Like, why would I don't know, that doesn't make sense to me, but I guess it is what it is. I'm about to go. My husband, so rude. Anyways, so on Heidnik, or Gary, was executed by lethal injection July 6, 1999 at the State Correctional Institute, Rockville in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, and his body was cremated. As of 2022, he was the last person to have been executed in Pennsylvania. He remains the third of only 3 people who have been executed in Pennsylvania. The other 2 were Keith Settlemoyer and Leon Moser. So I'll probably look into them and see why they got lethal injection, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, this story is kind of crazy because, you know, broken home, mother had mental illnesses, younger brother had mental illnesses, abusive father, abusive mother, alcoholic, multiple attempts of suicide. Like, I feel like he was crying for help and maybe he didn't get the help that he needed, or like all the signs were there, all the red flags were there, and no one did anything. They were just kind of like, you know, just let him out, he's fine, he's good. Like, I don't know. And you know what's another crazy thing that I've noticed, is that most of these people or serial killers go to the military. Like, they get into the military. Why is that? Like, I wonder. That kind of creeps me out a little bit, because obviously there's a lot of people that go into the military, and it seems like that's their to-go place, or their like go-to or thing to do. Like, I don't know, has anyone ever noticed that too with like these serial killer stories, you know? Like, why? And obviously they also, most of them come from abusive upbringings. So but yeah, guys, so that is the story for today. Let me know your thoughts. If you have any questions, any requests, any stories that you wish for me to do, or any ideas, let me know, and I will look into it and do my research and, you know, watch videos, documentaries, interviews, and all of the good stuff. And I can do that on my next video. I hope you liked the look. This is the final look. I will be leaving all the products I used in the bio box or whatever. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to share this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.